What's up, big gunner?
And we are live. Good morning, Crypto Warriors. Welcome back to the Gym in the Crypto, episode 1312. Today is Wednesday, March 19, 2025, and I'm King here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m.-ish. And today's top story, Xapo Bank launches Bitcoin-backed USD loans targeting hodlers. Stablecoin users grew 53% in 1 year, is being reported. North Dakota Senate passes crypto ATM bill limiting daily transactions to 2K. And community slams crypto.com CEO for over 70 billion CRO reissuance and more. But first and foremost, of course, let's go ahead and take a quick look at these prices. I'm low-key looking around because I'm like, it's not, I don't think it's my place, but I'm smelling something burning in there, boss. So I'm like making sure this thing's not about to go up in flames nowhere halfway through the show. Make for some great content, but not great skin, I would assume. Straight up. Not a lot of news today, though. Top story, or excuse me, Bitcoin's coming at $84,223, up 3.35%. Ethereum is at $2,206, up 7.6% as everyone does everything it possibly can to pump it. Ripple at $2.56, up 14.7%. Number 5, BNB at $610, down 2.12%. Solana at number 6 at $131, up 7.7%. Number 8, Cardano at 74 cents, up 8.1%. Dogecoin number 9, 17 cents, up 5.6%. And Tron at number 10 at 23 cents, up 2.98%. Fair and Green Index has increased a little bit. It's at a 23 for Fair now. And it looks like altcoin season is at a 21. And you can see here Bitcoin dominance at a 60.2 and Ethereum is at an 8.8. Those are your prices on day. All right, so I'm not kidding. I'm not going crazy. There are fire trucks in the background right now. This is so LA. I hope it's not my building, but there's definitely fire trucks in the background. I just heard the sirens go by, and it is getting increasingly warm. So we'll see the alarm goes off here. It might be just nearby, but I'm definitely smelling a ton of smoke right now. So hopefully it's just nearby. I hear the fire alarm. If it goes crazy, of course, I'm gonna shut this off and keep it pushing and figure out what's next. This is so crazy. This is LA people. Everybody always asks me what's like living in LA. I'm like, you forget about the last incident because it's always the next incident. It's happening right now. Shout out to BK Crypto, Alapio, Saber Says, Magnolia, Dear Bit, Memories with Mike Wisdom, Eyes Ray, Eric C, Nomad, Nerd Up, DM Cars, Super Mario. Yes, SEC dropped the Ripple case. So I'm not sure, or so far I haven't seen the SEC say it yet, at least not to just this morning. I did see Brad Garlinghouse talk about it and do a whole thing on it. He may be telling the truth already, things he knows already, or he may be trying to win a court of public opinion. I wasn't about to do a deep dive into it. Bottom line is I didn't see anything from the SEC as of the start of the show, and I even waited a couple more minutes to see, because those Ripple articles are breaking for sure. That is a top thing on the news cycle right now. Everyone's talking about XRP. I Googled crypto news today, and there was XRP before crypto was even mentioned. It was like 3 or 4 XRP articles or Ripple articles talking about the new altcoin they just developed and stuff on their chain. So, yeah, a lot of XRP news today, but I didn't see it from the SEC. So that's what I got to check out next. King John Michaels, what up, though? Joe Muhammad, welcome. All right, top story of the day. Like I said, not many stories, but a couple of powerful ones. Xapo Bank launches Bitcoin-backed USD loans targeting hodlers. This actually came out yesterday. I really didn't cover it that much. I kind of saw it, but there's some other stories. But it's worth a mention for sure because we'll see other banks do this. Available to pre-approved customers, Xapo Bank's Bitcoin USD loans target long-term hodlers who can now access loans of up to $1 million. This is pretty cool. Xapo Bank, a global crypto-friendly bank headquartered in Gibraltar, is betting on crypto lending revival by launching Bitcoin-backed US dollar loans. Qualifying Xapo Bank clients can now access Bitcoin loans of up to $1 million, the firm said in an announcement shared with Cointelegraph on March 18th. This is for long-term holders. Unlike traditional assets, as they say, the bank CEO, Seamus Raka, said, unlike traditional assets, Bitcoin is ideal form of collateral. It is borderless, highly liquid, available 24/7, and easily divisible, making it uniquely suited for lending, Raka said. And with that, I got to give it applause. I'm actually using these pauses. Funny enough, I'm trying to pause because I'm using it to smell the air, like straight up. I'm like, all right, let me, as I'm doing this show, make sure I'm not about to for real become a meme in here in a moment. No collateral reuse is a key distinction of Zappos Bitcoin loan product is that the bank does not rehypothecate the loan collateral by users, meaning that its lending mechanism does not involve the reuse of Bitcoin assets by clients. That's amazing to see. So essentially, they're saying once it's locked in their vault, is locked, we will not use that to do anything else with any other client. Now, I will say Zappo's been around long enough and they know what they're doing to the effect that I believe this story, right? Like, I believe that they actually won't do anything with your crypto and they will try to do right by it and so on and so forth. You do get into the part of not your keys, not your cheese. I'm not looking at the whole thing of this. I'm sure they have some type of mechanisms. Let me see. Receives borrower DeFi lending platform. Okay, so I'm assuming it's probably a mechanism to where they're not the only party holding it, or it maybe it's a multi-sig type of wallet, or if they're doing it all in the DeFi lending platform. It looks like they're essentially just doing the loan for you. So um, I didn't do this, but this could have been like an additional service back in 2021 when I launched a masterclass and I showed everybody these collateralized loans. Like it was crazy. Now these are finally coming to banks. But back then, a service essentially could have been, hey, you give me your Bitcoin, I put it on a collateralized loan, and I give you your capital back. And then whenever you come cash it out, so on and so forth. So that's all they're essentially doing, right? They're saying the DeFi platform is already made, whether it's theirs or someone else's, but a lot of people don't know how to use it, but they want to store their Bitcoin. So they're being that third party service. Another reason I initially, or not initially, intentionally wouldn't even thought of the idea is because I already know you need licenses for, right? They're going to be looking at remittance licenses, banking licenses, so on and so forth, compliance. They will turn you into a bank for doing something like this, even though it isn't really written into law that you can do it. There's no law saying, hey, you can't be, the third party custodian or the transactionary agent for a DeFi purchase or a DeFi loan for that, for that matter, especially if you aren't talking about Bitcoin. If you start talking about like wrap Bitcoin or some of these other altcoins that don't really have a market big enough for the government to say, well, this is this, or this is security, or this is commodity, or this, like where it doesn't even have enough narratives around it to say what it is. You're talking about a wrap product now. This is a derivative on the crypto side of the house, essentially. So when you start talking about derivatives on the crypto side of the house, technically there's a lot of gray areas still. So it's something I'm sure people can experiment with. It looks like Xapo Bank are going to experiment with it. Um, I do see, of course, not to be negative, Nancy. I'm sure there will be one bank that does this that's going to say, yeah, we're not going to give nobody's Bitcoin and crypto back. So you'll see that happen as well, or we lost it, or got hacked, or something happened. But by and large, that's the future. And it makes sense. I do see banks doing it. Unfortunately, we should and can do it ourselves, especially on the DeFi side of the house. But a lot of people won't want to learn how to do it. They may not feel comfortable doing it. Maybe they'll forget. What happens if a person does it, doesn't tell their family about it, they die or pass away? Then you have a lot of this Bitcoin just locked up on a DeFi platform. Nobody knows how or why. So it's a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of code to be written too, because again, if something like that were to happen, what would happen to the that capital on that marketplace? So a lot of questions to be asked and answered in this space. But again, this is one of those things that's a value add. It's one more thing you can do in the space where now you can say, hey, I don't have to sell my Bitcoin at all, right? This gives you a way to circumvent taxes, in my point of view, especially if Zappos, you're looking at banks. I'm assuming they're going to have enough capital and liquidation to say, hey, we're not buying and selling either. We got our own Bitcoin stash, right? And we're just one to one in this on the balance sheet, but we're not actually doing any transactions. Now, technically, that would be I'm sure, some type of commingling funds. But as long as it's one to one and customers aren't complaining, it should not be an issue, because if they're not swapping, they don't get that tax burden that's made up anyway. But then the customer doesn't. So then it becomes one of those things where, whether it's Zappo, whatever bank or DeFi platform you're going to use, is it even worth cashing out any of your crypto, right? You just keep it all, because I mean, Bitcoin is the first one, of course. You'll be able to collateralize other things as well. You kind of already can on some of these platforms. But once you can collateralize, like it's essentially your entire wallet. Let's say you can just put in your whole wallet on one of these platforms and do the whole thing, and they can put it into whatever token they want. And this, of course, would be all done on the back end, right? All the swaps happen, whatever platform does, everything on the back end. All you do is essentially link your wallet and put the percentage of your wallet you want to collateralize. Once it gets to that point, there's no reason to sell it. So this whole thing of taxes, watch how they change when you watch how the gangs when they be like, oh, okay, so you're not even selling it no more. Oh, all right, we need to figure out a new way. All right, well, if that's the case, you can't even, you can't, if you collateralize your loans, If you collateralize your Bitcoin and crypto, that's a 40% tax. They'll come up with the next great idea to steal money out of thin air. But if you can essentially collateralize everything, then there's no reason to have any type of tax burden. So again, this is a value add for the Bitcoin and crypto community. I'm happy to see it. And again, this is just one bank of many that I'm sure will follow up and do it also. Stablecoin users, this was a nice base hit. Stablecoin users grew 53% in 1 year, is being reported. Active stablecoin wallets increased from 19.6 million in February 2024 to over 30 million in February of 2025, according to Artemis and Dune. A couple of things I would say to note for sure. Uh, First and foremost is experimentation. I mean, just the basics. A lot of banks, companies, institutions are looking at adding stable coins or what they are, or how to use them, and so on and so forth. They're going to have test wallets like out the wazoo. All their analysts are going to have test wallets. Like they won't have enough of them. So just them alone. Then they're actually being implemented in different countries around the world. So people are actually finding use cases to have these stable coins. Regardless, is a base hit because stable coins are Dogecoin to me. Stable coins are a way to interact in the crypto side of the house without losing your Bitcoin, and essentially learn the process, learn to have a wallet, learn to send and receive, learn how to read the transaction history, and so on and so forth. So to me, this is a base hit. I'm not mad at it. A joint report on-chain by on-chain analysis platforms Artemis and Dune show that active stablecoin wallets increased by over 50% in 1 year. The report, titled "The State of the Stablecoins 2025: Supply, Adoption, and Market Trends," show that from February 2024 to February 2025, active addresses increased from 19.6 million to that 30 million, which is at 53% increase in 1 year. It's crazy. Kid you not, I did not read this article, folks. Apart from increased institutional adoption, again, this is one of those obvious things. If you know how this kind of works, you have institutions playing in the stablecoin market, they have to test it. You're not going to just test one or 100. You're going to test like 1,000 of them things, right? And then you got a whole team. And if I'm in charge of that team, let's say it's a small team of 7, I'm telling everybody, like, for the next 4 to 6 months, all you are doing is testing wallets, testing different things, show me reports. And it's a numbers game when you talk corporate. So you can't do enough, right? But apart from increased institutional adoption, stablecoins growing use in payments, figured that, and decentralized finance. Okay, kind of figured that, but I don't think I said it out loud. And its broader accessibility were cited as some of the reasons spurring the growth of stablecoin active addresses. Again, I'm happy when I do these live and I look at the headline for many of these articles and don't go in depth, because I want to make sure I'm not off the beat. I'm not in the wrong place as well. So this, like, it's like, okay, we're all tracking. This is a good thing. Kind of the reasons why we figure. And I expect that number to essentially double, if not triple to quadruple here in the next year and a half, as you see, I think, even friendlier regulation, and more banks start to lean toward either stable coins or CBDCs, depending where country you're at. So this is going to be a big money play for a lot of countries and a lot of places. This was one of the original reasons why I said, hey, back in 2017, I was saying publicly, I didn't think XRP was going to last. I was like, hey, it has nothing to do with the project or the platform or anything like that. It has to do that it's a direct competitor with even bigger companies, bigger banks, and bigger governments. Now, little did I know, of course, XRP were going to run that it did, and it gave them the war chest that they have. And shout out to Brad Garlinghouse being a like great steward of that war chest, right? He got a lot of capital, became like the fifth richest guy on the planet according to whatever charts. I'm sure those numbers are arbitrary and subjective at times, but he got a lot of money. And of course, it dipped a lot. The price dipped. He lost a lot of that money, but he still had a lot left. And he used that to reinvest not just into the technology and innovative side of the house, but also into litigation, right? To stay alive, to fight. So it was a bet well paid off. You're seeing him get that capital back. That's probably why they're in the news today. So again, I'm not mad at that, but I just didn't think they would last that long because again, when I started, XRP was less than a penny, right? Like I'm trading XRP again. The most famous ones was I was like leverage trading it. I remember it was like 0.008 cent. At that time, they weren't what they were now. So the way I was looking at the market, thinking it will mature way faster than what it did, it took forever. But at those times, looking at the market, I was like, oh man, you get BlackRock right now, they'll come take it over. Like those are my thoughts. Or if you get the US government right now, they'll come take over this market. Or any foreign countries' government, some of these European countries' governments. I was just looking at like if anyone just hijacks what they're doing. They'll take it over. The US kind of did. We just took a different approach. The US took the approach of just trying to kill it because they were just trying to kill all Bitcoin and crypto. They saw the same thing we all saw with XRP, but the US is like, just kill it. That was the wrong approach. If anything, they should just made a competitor, especially since they didn't die. Because yeah, officially they are here to stay. There isn't anything wrong with it, and they don't have the same type of scaling issues because they're not trying to become the crypto for the general public. They're trying to do it for these banks and institutions. So again, all that kind of falls into the stablecoins bailiwick. So it will be interesting to see what's going to happen with XRP's market share as the stablecoin market increases, because it's not going to affect the Bitcoin market share as much, in my point of view, because a lot of that stablecoin market will go to Bitcoin as well, or go back and forth. But I do think it's going to affect the XRP type of markets to where they're saying, hey, we're transacting. And I'm sure they have, I mean, they have their own things going on as well, but that's where I think those markets will initially be affected. But I'll say this, we'll see, as always. 53% in this 1 year. Like I said, let's see where we're at next year. But easy double, I think. Easy double, depending on regulation. The only thing that stops it is a severe bear market. All right. If we go from 80 to 40, which I don't see happening, but hey, you never know. If we go to 80 to 40, then you could see that usage slow down and affect the overall number for the full 12 months. But we stand at 65, 67 plus and keep bouncing around, then I think that stable coin will percentage will increase. And again, for some of those people looking at alternative ways to invest, look at some of the companies who are creating these stable coins or banks, how to invest in them on the public side of the house, because you may be able to give yourself exposure to some of these plays from an investment point of view for those who are interested as well. We know, of course, Circle backed by Goldman Sachs. So there's plays just to have exposure to that and actually be a part of that market without just using the stable coin. So the SEC is official. The SEC dropped their appeal against XRP. Is it official? Let me know. All right. North Dakota Senate passes crypto ATM bill limiting daily transactions to 2K. Oh my goodness.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
I saw this article and I was so disappointed to see it. Isn't North Dakota a red state too? Like, what's going on? Like, are y'all not getting the messaging? Are they a red state? I'm not sure. But yeah, this surprised me. The North Dakota House had passed a crypto ATM bill with looser user transaction limits, but the state Senate has tightened that to $2,000 a day. And again, when I see stories like this, and this is why I'm covering it today, I know it's just a state specific thing, but this is what got me into Bitcoin. Like I've been a for real degenerate in Vegas. Let me zoom in. I've been a real degenerate in Vegas at the table for 6 or 7 hours. Don't even want to go to the bathroom. Okay. I've been that guy. I've lost sometimes, not often. I be winning, but I've lost. And I'm like, you know what? A quitter never wins and a winner never quits. I'm going back to the ATM to get some more money to go back to this table to get it back. Because oftentimes I do go into the casino, oftentimes too hot, be too excited. And I seriously bet like all my money I brought away. Like I gamble it away. And then I either like wait a couple hours or sometimes a day, or that ATM trip, I go back and then I win everything back plus more. So it's like I'm so used to losing as soon as I walk in. And then going to hit the ATM once or twice. I try after 2 times, I usually stop. I'm like, all right, I don't do third trips, but I've done 2 trips. I've done an easy 2 trips. And my point is, I'm okay with taking those L's into those trips or whatever, right? It's my money, it's my business. Like, why am I being explaining myself? It's how I feel until you get to the ATM and it says you can't get any more money out. What do you mean? I see money in my account. Why can't I take it out? What's going on? Call your bank. You call the bank. I'll call my bank 3 a.m. Y'all need to get me online with somebody today. I don't care nothing about nothing. I want my money and I want it now. Okay, this is real life stuff that's happened. And you got to explain to them and blah blah blah. Well, we can raise your limit, but you got to just a little bit, but you got to come in tomorrow to actually physically remove it. And my whole thing is like, why do you have a limit on my money when I'm telling you is mine? I want it. What is this all about? These are the things that pushed me to Bitcoin to begin with. Everyone's talking about Bitcoin price and stuff. And of course, I indulge this entire price thing. We talk about price every day. I get it. That is not what brought me here. Was saying, oh man, I get if prices would have brought me here, I would have been stupid rich right now. Let's be clear about that, because I had way more capital to invest than I did. I was using it. Everyone who knows me knows I've been using Bitcoin for a long time. It works when I travel different countries and places and blah, blah, blah. So my thing was the technology attracted me. because I didn't have these limitations that you're seeing here being introduced. Why are you introducing a 2K limit? I know why. I mean, I know the reasons they're going to say money laundering, protection, compliance, and things of the sort. But it's like this is what's pushing people to the DeFi side of the house. So it's one of those things where this is all self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, Bitcoin will be the future, DeFi and things will be the future for people who want to engage in it. But for everyone else who's playing sheep, I guess so, because it just doesn't make sense, right? Like 2K and then the 2K. Not like the government officials are hustling harder than that these days. They're getting bribes more than 2K. That's a low number for them these days. But again, they passed a bill that regulates crypto ATMs, adding a provision capping daily transactions at $2,000. The state Senate passed the House Bill 1447 in a 45-1 vote on March 18th. The bill was introduced to the state legislative assembly on January 15th and aims to protect what I tell you whenever they say we're going to protect you. Protect residents from scams by introducing a slate of new guidelines for crypto ATMs and their operators. I'm not sure what type of crypto ATM scams are involved with the amount you can withdraw, but shout out to Trek. As Trek would say, this is what you consider a capital flight control, right? We've seen this in China. We've seen it in China. We've seen it in Russia as well. But these are capital flights controls when they're making sure, because here's the thing with a Bitcoin ATM, this isn't like a cash one. They can still keep up with how much money is coming and going. You go in there and be like, oh, okay, let me just go pull out 100K from Bitcoin ATM. Ooh, they can't keep up with that one. They cannot keep up with that one. So they say it's to protect residents, but it's protect the government. And yes, the latest version of the bill passed by the Senate requires crypto ATM and kiosk operators to be licensed in the state as money transmitters. Didn't I just say that earlier? I haven't read this article yet. I said that about what was the other article? When I said the lending, I could have done the lending from the class where I was like, they would have hit me with a money transmitter. Folks, I'm telling you, this is how they hit you. This is how they're hitting you. They're like, this is how they restrict innovation to certain degrees and certain lengths, right? What happened when drones first came out? Oh, hell no. They was like, FA, you can't have these in the air. Why not? Well, because yeah, all these protective things, but it's like someone had to have things in the air first for it to be where we're at right now. But by limiting them, the ability to say, hey, you can have drones in the air, we essentially slowed down what drones could have even been right now. So this is the same thing. It's the same thing as the XRP case. It's about slowing things down. Hell, they're like, if we can keep this, to $2,000 a day for next 10 years, at least 8 years or whatever, then that's a win within itself. All right. We'll let the next generation of senators and everybody else figure out how to deal with the crypto issue, which is essentially people's freedom and power to have their own capital. But initially, the bill limited crypto ATM customer transactions to 1,000 a day. They loosened it up to 2,000 a day limit for the first 5 transactions within 30 days. Now it looks like more votes are going to be going back and forth before I guess the governor, excuse me, can either veto or sign the bill into law. Hopefully, it's vetoed again. I'm not sure if they're a red or blue state, but I think on the national scale, if they do let this pass, it's definitely going to be signaling a lot, not only to the Trump administration now, but also to the federal agencies that are working for them. It is what it is. So we shall see. We shall see. Crypto community. Oh my goodness. Community slams crypto.com CEO over 70 billion crow reissuance. This was hilarious to me. Crypto.coms. I call him Monaco. All right. You introduce yourself to me as Monaco, I'll call you Monaco. All right. Crypto.com's Cronus blockchain is facing community criticisms over governance issues as sources suggest that the exchange controls up to 80% of the voting power. I mean, first and foremost, uh, I'm saying this in a facetious matter. Shout out to crypto.com and Crow, I guess, for showing their hand at a lesser price point. They could have did all this at 108,000, but I think they're still trying to wait to like a quarter mil, $500,000 for they hit everybody with the big rug. But it looks like they're kind of showing their hand already a little bit, and people are surprised. They're like, "Wait, you guys are who you said you were?" No. Major crypto exchange Crypto.com came under fire following an allegedly manipulated vote leading to a massive token burn reversal on Crypto.com's Cronus blockchain. Y'all thought y'all was gonna get the money? It don't go like this. Crypto.com CEO Chris Marcellick took to X on March 19th to highlight the firm's financial and regulatory stability amid the ongoing controversy over the 70 billion Cronus token reissuance. essentially canceling the 70 billion CRO token burn announced in 2021. The vote on bringing back the tokens has triggered outrage from community, with many commentators criticizing the CEO for not addressing the issue in his new thread on X. So you made $1 billion. I can't even say it without laughing. This is the let me. Whenever I get like this, folks, where I'm just smiling and laughing, especially if I'm in public. Like I always, you know what? He said it. He said, "I don't care if y'all never gonna like me. You like, I turn you into an officer. I turn you professional. Shout out to Class Drill Section Gurney Sergeant Hirsch, United States Marine Corps." Okay, he made sure I kept my bearing. So in moments like this, I always think about him. And I can keep my bearing, and I can tell you the story without smiling. But I just want you to know, I am like giggling like a schoolgirl inside right now. But I'm gonna keep my bearing to say this story, or at least this part. So it's being quoted on the X. So you made $1 billion profit, but needed to mine $70 billion crow. I can't do it. I'm not in the military no more. I can smile now. So you made $1 billion profit, but needed to mine 70 billion crow instead of using those funds to buy some off the market and help your core community remain positive. One commentator wrote, "Listen, if you think my man's would like, and that's the part. I had to learn this too. I had to learn this in business. More of the story to come, right? I had to learn this. This game theory is real. You would think people do the right thing, but unfortunately, some of these folks, when they're left with the decision of, hey, do I take $1 billion home with me? Or do I help the community who helped me make my money? Some people, unfortunately, are going to take that $1 billion without thinking twice about it. Now, the unfortunate part is if you kind of look at these platforms, these projects, who the CEOs are, and the communities themselves, there's a lot of red flags to kind of begin with, right? Like I've even saw some red flags and things I've done. I knew better and I went forward with it, right? But so that's one of the things here. Crypto.com came from Monaco. They was hustling back then. They gave everybody with the Visa card scam. So it's like, they paid off a little fine for that. What do you expect them to start doing the right thing after their first lick hit and won, their first play won, and then you get naming rights to the Staples Center, the house that Kobe built? Like what? Why stop now? They're 2-0, officially 3-0. They're going to keep this thing pushing and rolling until they can't anymore. But again, disclosed in February 2020. And they're saying this is the largest token burn in history, too. Disclosed in February of 2021 and now deleted posts on all. They deleted it too. All right, bearing, let's go. And now deleted posts on the crypto.com blog. The $70 billion crow token burn was called the largest token burn in history, with a goal to fully decentralize the network at the crow mainnet launch. And you see, on a serious note, I remember I was getting the emails and everything else for this stuff and blah blah blah. And I was just like, if you don't get out of here with that, I was paying it no attention. And I was like, to fully decentralize the network. You know what? I didn't indulge. I will be indulging now. I've reached out to some people. We're going to be having some fun, but I want to have these conversations with these people. Like, we have to bring them to the light. Let's go ahead and bring them. I want you to tell me how you're fully decentralized live so we can talk about this. I have to figure this out. Aligned with our belief in the Crow chain mainnet launch just around the corner, we are fully decentralizing the chain network, the blog post said, announcing an immediate burn of 59.6 billion tokens. All right, they're fully decentralizing the chain network. I mean, technically, depending on how the token was launched and everything, I don't know how it worked out, but technically it could be decentralized in a sense of, yeah, whoever owns it is fair, but it's not decentralized in actual ownership, if that makes sense, right? They say, hey, we gave everybody a chance to get whatever and do whatever. But as you can see here, when it comes to actual decision making, they've already went back in and got the right position. So it's not as decentralized as it seems. I'm not going to go into the whole burn itself. They're asking why reverse the burn. In 2021, of course, those 70 billion were burnt, was one of the most significant burn transactions in history. Under today's proposal, an equal number of tokens will be reissued on Cronus POS into a Cronus strategic reserve. It's funny they call it a POS escrow wallet, bringing the total supply back to the initial supply of $100 billion crow. The announcement said, like anything, folks, if you bring supply and demand, if you're bringing all this back into the market or it's not going to be burned, I'm assuming that price is going to dip. I hope the people who sold, you know how that goes. But it looks like, according to Laura Shins, of course, who's been out in crypto for a while, Unchained sources, Crypto.com allegedly controls 70 to 80% of the total voting power, essentially removing the need for any governance vote at all. Following the backlash, Crypto.com announced an Ask Me Anything event coming on March 25th. Okay, with the CRO token burn apparently becoming the main issue on the agenda. Looking forward to catching up with our community on Tuesday. Crypto.com CEO said in March 19th post on X, adding that hashtag make CRO great again. Oh my goodness. I already see what's going on here. Why politicize CRO, a decentralized network? Why politicize it? But of course, they didn't say anything. I can't wait to see what happens as they ask me anything. I want to see if he's actually going to answer anything about the burn outside of talking points, which means I want to see if you ask him essentially the same version different you've asked him the same version of a question a different way a few times, will he just give you the same talking point or will he further try to explain it? A and then B, I want to know if he's going to have legal representation there like live. I'm sure they're going to have him there in the background, but I wonder if he's going to start the conversation off with like, just let everybody know, bro, I got my lawyer here. And if they start off with that, even if it's in a friendly tone, oh, you already know what you're in for, folks. A placated interview type where things have been carefully construed and constructed. I wouldn't even be surprised. Crypto.com, the size that they have right now, they're in different countries. They managed to get the Stable Center. I wouldn't be surprised that during that AMA, they have it full of their own people in there essentially that will ask them, you know, challenging but not threatening questions, right? So maybe you don't talk about the burn, but you talk about like governance. Eh, I can see them, kind of brushing across the governments, but not really going into depth. So maybe the challenging question but not threatening is like, I don't know. When we're looking at governments, we've been hearing you guys own up to 80%. So is it true that is it true that the crow is everything? Is it true that it's centralized and you guys own 100%? So technically that's false, right? They only own 80. So they're like, oh, that's totally false. Like, listen, we own 100, even 90%. You guys would know, right? We definitely don't have that much. Yeah. Are there some people like this is the way you kind of get around that? So again, can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm probably not going to do it, like pay attention to it. But I'll definitely look at the feedback from it to see what happens next. Like, man, I would say, like, it is shout out to crypto.com. I mean, again, if you're going to be looking at it just from a business point of view, good or bad, uh, they would have fit in well in the wild, wild west. They are getting to the business. All right. Other than that, that is the show for the day. I'm looking at the last few comments. Saber saves to bring the attorney to the community. Peace talks. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Jump out, girls. Happy Wednesday, Warriors. He's about to answer them burn questions like a politician. Exact. I mean, I think we kind of know what's going to happen here because here's the other thing. When you're talking about ask me anythings, and this is where they lose the ethos of what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency even is, which is how you kind of know readily who's telling the truth and who's lying. At least I do. I know how to analyze it. When you're talking about AMA, specifically at AMA, he's not saying we're gonna be, we'll do a was it X spaces or I'll have a media interview or a request for interview or whatever. He is specifically saying an AMA, right? For something that's happening that's big right now, right? We're burning or we're reissuing 100 billion or 70 billion tokens. You don't plan that a week out. You do it like within 24 to 48 hours. It's AMA. Let's just hop on and let's do this real quick. That's what it's about. Like that's the ethos of it. You got a laptop or a phone, right? Okay, turn it on so we can start asking you about this right now. Why are you waiting a week for the AMA? That doesn't make sense. So that's what I mean, where they're trying to interchange these buzzwords, but they're not actually making practical sense, saying things like use an exchange for your Bitcoin when the first line of the white paper is saying it's peer to peer. This is the same thing to me. It's like, yeah, we'll do the AMA. It's like, when? A month from now. No, but seriously, like a week from now. It's like, that's not an AMA then. That's like, is that a press conference? Is that we can call it a press conference or something? Like, I don't know, a Twitter space, but that's not an AMA. We got to put a time limit on AMA. It's 24, 48 hours, okay, something like that. We're just not going to just pop up be with a problem at hand and say, yeah, I know there's a problem at hand, but I'll talk about it maybe in a week. Eh, all right, if you say so, I guess we'll see how their community responds to it. Let's see if the DXY takes a dive, let's say two below zero. Can you see Wall Street rushing into Tether? I had a vision of $12 stables while Oh, I'm not sure. I gotta check that out some more. I haven't checked it out. But shout out to Omnibone, appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, should businesses start using stable coins for transacting and cash won't be needed? Honestly, I think here's a It's all about the Federal Reserve and banks. Long story short, and the reason why is because we're already there. Again, in LA, there's so many cashless places already where they do take Apple Pay as well as a few other things. A few places take Bitcoin and crypto too, but it's not widespread. But it's literally just more people using Bitcoin and crypto. If more people were to use and actually spend it and things like that, and not just see it as a way to like get rich quick, then I think we'll start to see that change. So hopefully we do soon. All right. Other than that, that is the show for the day. Make sure you smash that like and share. It smells like everything stopped burning. So I think I'll be alive tomorrow. And I will see you all there with some more